Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of D-List Diaries. Hi, ladies.
Hey, hey, hey.
Nice to have us all back together.
I know, long time no see.
Yeah, well, it feels like this year is already going so fast, even though January was like 6 weeks long. So go figure.
It's always so slow.
11 more months. That's okay. We got this.
We got this. Let's rock it out. Does February feel slow? It's gone.
Well, because it's only like 10 days. There's 100 days in January and 10 days in February, and then it's March.
And then it's summer.
Crazy times. We have a lot of good stuff to talk about on the podcast today. I know we keep saying we have a special guest, and you keep not seeing anyone extra special. However, we do have special guests in the pipeline. Just scheduling is hard, guys. So you understand. I'm sure everyone understands out there.
We understand how hard it is. Yeah.
So today since this now has basically become a relationship podcast, I wanted to talk today about attachment styles. So we talk about love languages, we talk about communication styles, and I think my phone just hears everything that I'm saying out loud, because anytime I think something or say it, in pops all of these articles and all of this research and stuff. So are you guys familiar with attachment styles?
I don't think I am. Tell me some. Oh, yeah, I'm familiar. I feel like mine have changed throughout the years.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, they say that your attachment style, which is basically your behavior in a relationship, starts from childhood, and it's really based on how you are with your parents and I guess other people who take part in your developmental skills. But it can change over time per relationship with different people. So I agree with you. Mine have definitely changed over the years. But I can give you a little rundown of the attachment styles.
Yeah, hit us with it.
You know, I'm basically an armchair therapist, as they call it. So there's anxious, avoidant, disorganized, and secure attachment. So based on the names, you can probably tell that anxious is where you need constant reassurance in relationships. And I know this was me up until marriage, where you need someone to constantly tell you that they like you and you have more of a negative self-worth, but a positive view on other people. Avoidant is where you avoid feelings. You know, you don't want to get too close. You don't want to let anyone in. You just run if anything gets too close to you and too close to a relationship. Disorganized is kind of a mix of both, where you really want someone to be all into you and all over you and really giving you reassurance. But the second they do, you're like, I'm out. And then secure is the one that we all strive for, which is where I will say I am now, but it took a lot of work to get here, is where you just really feel secure. You don't freak out if your partner hasn't texted you back right away. You don't think, oh, they hate me if you haven't heard from them. You don't feel the need to always get reassurance to know that you feel secure in the relationship. And I just found that really interesting, because my whole life I was definitely anxious, and now I feel secure. But I wanted to get your thoughts and hear your attachment styles.
Do you feel like going through the process of Married at First Sight made you more self-aware of your attachment style, and did it help you with what type you were? Or was that just kind of experience and age?
I honestly think Chris is the reason that I have more of a secure attachment style, because I didn't really know about any of this until, like I said, I recently heard it somewhere, and now I'm going down a rabbit hole. So I feel like every person I was ever dating in the past made me feel really anxious, and I was always feeling like I needed them to reassure me. And then meeting Chris, he treats me in a way that I don't need that reassurance. So I honestly don't think it has anything to do with Married at First Sight or maturity or anything. I think it's very specific to my relationship, but that's interesting for me specifically because since it is based on your childhood, I always say my parents were so loving, not too loving. You can never be too loving, but I say that they were so overly loving and still are that it almost made me feel a little distant. So I don't know where the anxious attachment style came from, but here we are.
I wonder if it's because if your parents were consistently showering you with love, that's not a bad thing at all, by the way, but because you were used to hearing it all the time from your parents, that maybe when you're in a relationship, it's if you're not hearing it from someone, you're like, what's wrong? Because you got, accustomed to hearing it a lot.
And then there's always ADHD and being afraid of rejection. So
yeah.
There's always that. But do you feel like your attachment style has changed since you've been in different relationships, or are we still working? What are we doing, ladies?
Yeah, I feel like my attachment styles definitely change with the relationships that I'm in, depending on how the guy is making me feel in the relationship. Like sometimes the chemistry is great, and if I'm busy and if I have a lot of things to do, like I don't need much attention. But like when I'm craving for attention, then sometimes I can get very anxious as well. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, we've both been busy. When are we going to make time for each other? But I feel like as I grew up as a child, my mom and dad, they were always working. I was the oldest. I am the oldest child. So I was always working. I started working at 13. So sometimes I didn't know what affection looked like because I wasn't worried about affection. So that's why the styles always change depending on the relationships that I'm in. But now that I'm older, to be in a secure relationship is important to secure the attachment style. I will say that. That's very important because I want to know my partner loves me, that they're showing intimacy. And intimacy doesn't always have to be physical. I learned that on the show. It can be verbal, which I was like shocked by. I was like, oh, that's good to know because it's like, hey, honey, how's your day going? Or what happened at work that upset you? Like just hearing that and asking that emotional support is what's important to me when I'm in a relationship or friendships or family ships. I need it from everybody at this point in my life.
Yeah, attachment styles are not just on romantic relationships. Because it's developed by your parents and other people who have an impact in how you're raised, it goes the same with friendships. But oddly enough, I feel like I'm a little more anxious with friendships because I do seem to think that everyone hates me if I don't hear back right away. But I'm going to blame that one on the ADHD. They say that secure people go towards secure people, and then anxious and avoidant people are like magnets to each other. Do you feel like you tend to go for people who act the same way as you do in a relationship? Not current relationship, because we know the ones now are good, but the ones prior to these, do you feel like you were going towards people who are the opposite of you in this type of style?
I would think so. I feel like it's interesting because it's almost like for me, at least in my experience, I've kind of mimicked what the type of relationship style that my mom had. And so I would tend to fall into the same patterns, probably from like watching her at a young age. But because I would say I'm a good mix of probably avoidant, like up until even the show, or disorganized, like where it says like if you get too close, you're like, oh, I'm good. But I didn't grow up in a super affectionate home. And then I grew up with a single mom. So it's like, I think she was going back and forth in a lot of relationships.
I can relate to that, Gina.
I kind of like mimicked that pattern. And not until I would say after going on the show, I mean, I always talk about how I didn't really even know what my needs were until going on the show and having to like really internally process myself and like what I wanted. But it was like one of those things where you take a long, hard look in the mirror of like, oh, wow, is this how I've always been in relationships? Like not even Clinton, that's relationship, but just like things that I was missing out. Yeah, like relationships that I was missing out on, like the one I'm in now, like that was one I missed out on for several years because I was super avoidant and I would get to a certain point with him and then be like, I don't know, it was like the fear of thinking it was too good to be true or that
you knew he was going to treat you well.
Yeah, it's like the fear of security.
Which is very real. It's self-sabotaging, but it's real.
Yeah, but it stems from childhood. It's like what you see and you start to think is normal. And for me, there wasn't like a huge sense of security around romantic relationships for sure. So it is interesting. I'm trying to think for friendships too. I'm a little avoidant with friendships too, I think. I like stay too busy.
And Gina, I can relate to that too because my mom, she raised 3 kids. My mom had 3 kids by the time she was like 19 or 20 years old. My mom had us at a very young age. And by the time I was 8 years old, my mom was 22, 23. And she raised us and she did the best that she could. And she was also trying to raise herself and have her needs met. Like you said, we don't know our needs, but life is interesting. It is very interesting how, like you said, Nicole, your childhood trauma, your childhood affection, how it all affects you. And that's why some days I feel like I'm unlearning a lot of habits and I'm trying to learn newer habits in my life. And that's why some days I feel like I struggle. And I know when I was in a very serious relationship in my later 20s up until my early 30s, I struggled with affection. That wasn't important to me. Going after my dreams was important to me. Working hard was important to me. Becoming a home buyer was important to me. And y'all know I'm a go-getter. So my partner and I, at our later 20s, we bought a condo together. Like we were on the pathway to success. So I never had to slow down to figure out, okay, what are my attachments? How am I attached to this man? Like, I just knew I was attached to him.
Yeah.
We were working together to achieve our goals, and that's all that I felt like was important. And I was like, love don't pay the bills. Like, we love each other, but we have to keep working to success to when we can finally look back and be like, okay, now we can enjoy whatever attachment we have with each other, because that is important. But you also have to find the balance in life. And that's something I feel like I struggle with at times, because I get so headstrong on focusing on that one thing that's mostly important to me. So now that I'm in my mid-30s, wow, it's such a blessing. But now that I'm in my mid-30s, I'm starting to learn that structure and what's important, how to prioritize things. Like you said, Gina, sometimes I can run away from friendships too, because now we're looking at things like, how do we value that friendship? Are we being intentional with that person? Can I text them in a moment after I'm done prioritizing my life? Like, how do we find that balance? How do we find that level of communication? So things do change in your mid-30s, and you start to like reevaluate what's important and what's a priority and how to move intentionally.
Well, yeah. And I also think there's some level of self-preservation where you focus on the things that you know that you have more control of, or you know maybe won't hurt you as much. Because I also used to not be very affectionate. I wouldn't even like PDA, holding hands, none of that. But I sometimes think it's not that I didn't like it. It's more that I didn't want to like it because I wasn't getting it from the people I was with. So it was almost like, tell yourself you don't want this, and then you won't be disappointed if you don't have it. So I often wonder if we're focusing on the things that we think are important more so because we know the things that are really important are going to be harder to attain. But I feel like it is a product of the show to be a little more self-aware, because now anytime I have a feeling, I try to dig into the why I feel that way. And is it a good why or is it a bad why? And how can I maybe readjust my thinking? But that takes a lot of self-work, and, still going through it every day.
Every single day. Every single day. It takes time. But sometimes you also have to remind yourself not to overthink it too, because we can do that.
I mean, that's like telling, I don't even know, a pig not to roll around in shit, literally. But
oh my God,
we are who we are some days, You can't fight who you are at your core. You can only learn to tame it and let it out when it needs to come out.
100%. I agree.
And this is not super related, but on the topic of it, what are your thoughts on, and this is not just specific to relationships, this is also friendships and family, but what are your thoughts on sharing location on your phone?
I could care less.
You could care less if you share it or if it's shared with you?
Either, I guess. I feel like it's very important nowadays in this world, because we see so much going on, like school shootings. You see planes falling out the sky. You see people getting kidnapped. Like, I feel like it's very important to have at least one or two of your close friends or family following your location. For me and my friends, honey, we are way too attached to each other. My friends and family know they have my location right now, but they're not like looking at my location, stalking me every day. But if something happens to me, best believe my family and friends will be on the way within 1 second, and they will know exactly where I am. So I think it's very important, and vice versa. Like, if I need to come to my family's house or my friend's house, everybody know I will be there in 2 minutes. So it is important to have like your family and friends locations, because you never know. Like, it's crazy out here. I need somebody to come save me.
Yeah, I mean, I will share my location within reason, of course, but with any one of my friends or family who wants it for purely that reason, but also because I'm always late. So if I would say I'd be somewhere at 7, it's nice for my friends to be able to see like, oh, she hasn't left her house yet. But I feel like more relationship specific, a lot of, and mostly women, are like, oh, I have to have his location. I have to see where he is. And that, to me, I'm like, you don't trust him. Or you'll hear in the opposite, like, I don't want him to have my location because it's an invasion of my privacy. It's like, what are you doing that they can't see? I check Chris's. He travels for work a lot, so I'll check his, because if I don't hear from him for a few hours when I know he's not necessarily at work, I just want to make sure that he's alive, quite frankly. And I don't want to be the wife who's like, where are you? What are you doing? He's on a work trip. I trust him, but I'll check in to just make sure that he's not like on the side of the road for 6 hours. So I do check it, but if I know where he is, I'm not going to check it. It's more like if he says, I'll be home in 20 minutes and an hour goes by and I can't get in touch with him, Then, of course, I'm freaking out, checking location, about to call the police, but it's usually just Nashville traffic.
Put an alert out for him. My friend, whenever she's traveling from Memphis to Nashville and she's telling me like, okay, I'm going to leave at this time. Oh, best believe I'm tracking her. I'm like, oh, she's still there. Didn't leave yet. What's going on? Yeah, that's the only time I check my friend's location.
I'll be there at 4:30. And I hadn't left yet.
Yeah, that's the only time I'll check her location. Other than that, I don't stalk people.
Well, it's good for the late people like us, for our friends to know where we are.
I stalk my sister all the time. She doesn't know, but I do. I'm like, she at home.
Well, now she knows.
Yeah, if she's listening.
She's your sister.
Yeah.
It's allowed.
That is allowed.
So enough of the heavy relationship stuff. I want to talk about some things that have popped up that are exciting. The first one, Married at First Sight, is being picked up by Peacock. I don't know what this means for us, if it even means anything. No idea. However, I am manifesting this. I say this all the time. But now that it is going to be on Peacock, I feel like this brings me one step closer to being on Traders.
I would go on there with you.
Me too.
Yeah.
Let's all three go.
I would love to.
Who do we have to call?
They've had people from Love Island on Traders, but I wonder if we're now going to be taken off Netflix. It's so many unknowns, but the new season after the current one, the Austin season, is going to premiere later this year on Peacock.
Let me call Montre. I'm about to get the tea. What Montre say?
I already asked.
Are they uploading like previous seasons on Peacock too?
I don't know. We'll have to find out, but I would hope so because I like to go back and watch them, and I can get them on Hulu, but the commercials make it like 2 hours. So I'm excited to see what the future of the show looks like because to be picked up by Peacock, you have to have some plans to update and change and make things a little newer, edgier, and less of the Lifetime crowd. No offense, no offense, no offense.
Well, good luck to them. No offense, no offense, no offense. I like that.
Those rings might be a little better.
They don't even get rings anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
They can have mine.
I saw my producer a few weeks ago. Chris and I went to brunch with him, and he said that we were the last season to get rings.
That really makes me sad that they don't get nice rings because I wonder how that makes the wives feel. Like, how do you feel? Like this little bitty band or whatever it is, you might as well put a rubber band. What, Amazon ring? Yeah, they might as well go to Amazon and get them a nice ring.
Only wears it's a nice one, but he only wears
a nice Amazon ring.
Yeah.
It is. It's like one of the fancier ones. But I got it for him for when we were on vacation. He was going in the water, and it's the only one he'll wear. He won't wear the one with dinosaur bone I got him. He won't wear the one from the show. But he's just not used to it, so he likes to play with it, and we've already had to replace it because he just fidgets with it.
I feel like a lot of men wear their silicone ring because they don't want to mess it up or lose it. They know they married. They're not crazy.
Maybe on decision day, they should get rings.
Yes, if they decide to stay together.
Yeah. Or like we'll give you a budget and you could go ring shopping together or something because it is nice to have the ring. But if you're not together, then like you guys are just stuck with these rings. What do you do with them?
Right.
Do you still have yours?
Yeah. I'm going to give it to the next person on the episode on season.
That would be so
18,
sweet of us.
19. Yeah.
Let's call the girls in Austin and be like, listen,
are y'all going to stay together? Yeah. Only if they stay together. I think that's a really good idea, Nicole. Like, give them rings.
Did anyone from Chicago stay together?
We don't know yet.
I think I know who is going to stay together. Thomas and Camille.
I would like for them to stay together, but we're only on the
retreat.
I'm a few episodes behind, but things are getting spicy. I know we said we weren't really going to recap, but we might have to do a little.
I haven't watched it in like 2 months.
Not today.
I can watch it, though. I like this season. I want to talk about it. I'm coming up.
Yeah. Gina, do you know when the episode you filmed is going to be airing?
We heard March.
Okay.
Ooh.
That's in a couple of weeks.
And I'll have to share my background story of how that whole day I was about to throw up.
Yes.
So I'm either going to look like I'm about to cry the whole time, or I'm going to look like green in the face, or I'm just going to look really irritated. Everyone's going to be like, that Gina girl's pissed. But I was throwing up the night before, and right when I left the studio, I got into the hotel room and threw up immediately. I was like real sick all day.
Well, you know they're going to use that. They're going to make it like, she looks Ms.
She looks, pissed.
But you still did it, and I'm very proud of you because I would have been like, you can record me over the toilet.
The power of the mind is like, I never knew I had that much resilience because I was like, well, I'm just not throwing up.
Imagine you threw up on the set.
Yeah, I was like, this is not an option. Like, you guys are making me sick.
I'm sick of being here.
I couldn't eat my lunch that day, like nothing.
Can't even get a free lunch out of it.
I could barely even drink water. Like if I drank water, I was like, I'm going to throw up.
Oh, no.
It was bad.
We're glad you survived, and we can't wait to watch the episode and see our girl back on TV again.
Right?
Like tearing up.
Gina's back.
I think I look like I'm tearing up the whole time. I'm kind of interested to see how it looks.
Keep an eye out for that in March, everyone. Gina, last week, Kirsten and I briefly talked about how the new Love is Blind is coming out, so we will be watching that and recapping it.
You don't have to tempt me with a good time.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know you're really upset. I'm twisting your arm here, but you're going to have to watch it. But speaking of Love is Blind, Kirsten, I know this might upset you, but Ashley and Tyler are divorced, and I know you love her. Do you love them or her, actually?
I love her. I love her, not him. He was okay. I knew he was ghetto. I knew it was just too much of a backstory going on there.
Is he ghetto?
His situation is ghetto, okay?
With the kids, with the paternity thing.
Yeah, it was, and the fact that, okay, it was just a miscommunication with everything. And I think she probably had a misunderstanding with all the kids because there was a lot of drama. And yeah, and it was just such a misunderstanding. But I love her. And I am sad that they didn't work out. I feel like if he would have been honest about whatever situation that he is with his fatherhood, that honesty goes a long way. Just be transparent about your situation and don't try to do anything for the TV. Just be a genuine person. And they could have worked out. But I told you that, Nicole. Remember at the very beginning, Gina and Nicole, I told you, I said, they're not going to work out. She's not going to be with him. And then she ended up staying with him. And then now they have a divorce. So I was like, wow, I'm not surprised. So I wish Ashley the best, and she's beautiful right now. She's living her best life. She's breaking the internet with these fabulous swimsuit pictures, okay? I'm like, girl, you better slay and look beautiful at the same time, honey, because you're going to have a good man in your life one day.
I don't know how these people go on TV and they're like, I'm going to lie about that.
Ghetto.
No one's going to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like something of that magnitude, too. Like, I'm just going to act like this is how I have kids. Someone's going to find out.
Yeah, it's going to come out. People are always ready to pull the skeletons out of the closet.
That's a huge thing.
Like, it's not like you're lying about a dog.
I got a parking ticket.
Yeah, ticket. You're lying about children.
What I would like to think, because men are dumb, sorry, no offense. Men are dumb. So what I would like to think is that he, before the show, was like, hey, baby mama, I'm going on the show. We're cool, right? And she was like, yeah, sure. And then saw how he was talking about the kids. And she was like,
I don't know them
we're
kids.
Not cool.
And that's just what frustrates me. Like, keep it 100, keep it real. Like, it's no need to lie. You don't have to lie to kick it. So that's just upsetting. But like I said,
gotcha.
Yeah, people in life will get what they deserve. Like, Ashley looks like she's a deserving woman of a really great man. So she's not going to have a problem with getting a man. It's about having the attraction for the correct man to come into her life. So we shall see.
And I wonder, this is all speculation, but I wonder if they stayed together as long as they did, because she almost made me felt a little silly because everyone was like, he's not a good man, divorce him. And she was doubling down on, no, he told me this. We're working through it. It's fine. Because I know my pride would probably make me stay with him as long as I possibly could take it, just so I didn't have to deal with the fallout.
Well, that's what was going on the reunion. Remember when she was rocking with him no matter what? Remember on the reunion when we watched it?
Right.
She was all for him. And I was like, okay, if she's for him, I'm going to try to be Team Ashley and them. But now I'm just Team Ashley, not them.
She'll be fine.
She will. She don't have a problem. On to the next. So what's up with Pastor Cal?
So Pastor Cal, I was listening to The Love Seat, which is the podcast run by Lauren and Cameron from season 1 of Love is Blind. And they had Pastor Cal on. It was probably in November, but I only recently listened to it. And he gave so much good advice, like more advice in this 45-minute podcast episode than I think we heard collectively throughout our season. And not to say he didn't give good advice throughout our season, because he did, but because this was more of an honest conversation and less of a like semi-scripted coaching. But it was a very interesting episode, so I suggest everyone listens to it. And I wanted to share my favorite takeaways because I was like, wow, you probably should have told people this while we were filming. But he was on there promoting his new app and his book, which we've spoken about.
Pastor Cal's just out there staying relevant.
I love that for him.
Doing the things.
He has this new app for marriage-minded people and the book Marriage Ain't for Punks. And they asked him something to the effect of like, what's the biggest piece of advice you would give to someone who's dating but ready for marriage? And he said his best piece of advice, or his first piece of advice, is if you have a list of all the things you're looking for, tear it up. Because if you're looking for a list and you have a checklist, you're looking for an employee, not a partner. And the way he said it, I was like, wow, you're so right. Because when you are looking for someone to fill certain things, you're not giving people room to not have experience in something or have something else. So I was kind of mind blown by that. I don't know if that's the general reaction, but what do you guys think about not having this certain checklist?
No, you need to have some type of checklist.
I knew it was coming. I knew Kirsten was about to be like, we gon' pull up on this. Have a whole entire checklist.
No, I don't have an entire checklist, but a man needs to have exactly what I have or more. I can't meet a man below me. Like, if he doesn't have a car or a job or a place to live.
Okay, I think those are exceptions. I think he means more of like, he has to have a certain color hair. He has to be this height.
Whoa, drop the hair color.
You never said
we don't care about hair color.
Has to have a certain color hair.
We don't care about the hair color.
He's basically saying if your list is like, you have to have this. I think a car and a place to live is standard. And probably doesn't sit on that
I'm
list.
sure your values and like,
yes,
certain things are non-negotiables. For sure.
Religion,
right.
Everything. No, you need some type of list. I'm not saying that your list should be like 25 needs from a man. Like, okay, maybe if you have a list that's 10 to 15, just look for your top 5 qualities in a man.
Yeah.
It's just certain things that are important. Is he working? Is he ambitious? Like, whatever it is that you're looking for. Different women look for different things, because I feel like certain women that are in a certain tax bracket, they may just want to be loved. The man don't have to work. He could be a stay-at-home dad. You know what I'm saying? But that works for her because she needs a man to stay at home because she's going out to make all the money, you know? And it's people like that in the world. So you just have to get what works for you, honestly. Because me, I don't want no stay-at-home dad. You better get up and get hands-on, Mr. Man.
Well, that kind of goes to his other piece of advice that I took as a takeaway was to find someone truly compatible. You have to look at their values, and not only are your values compatible with their values, but are your differences compatible, which is also something I never thought of. So, for example, you don't want someone who's a stay-at-home dad. Totally fine. So if you met someone who thought similarly, that would be compatible. But if your differences were, I don't know, he was saying like, I'm not going to be a stay-at-home dad. I'll go to work, but you should always make more than me. Those differences are not compatible. So I thought that was really interesting because you say, oh, this person has 10 of my 15 things on the checklist. We should be really compatible. The things that are different between you are just never going to go.
That's interesting.
Instead of comparing what's the same, more so seeing what's different and are you okay with that?
Yeah. I never thought of it from that perspective either. And I do think that's interesting because sometimes when I do have differences with other people, I'm like, why do you think that way? Because majority of the time, I always feel like whatever I'm saying is correct, which is a problem that I work on. I have a lot of issues that I have to work on, but I'm self-aware, so no worries.
Don't we all?
And that's not a problem if the person you're with, if they also want to be right all the time, then that's a problem because you can't both always be right.
Right.
He even said, he's like, I love me some me, but I don't want to be with me. Like if you marry or in a relationship with someone who's exactly the same, you're never going to learn or grow from each other.
Oh my God, that'd be chaotic.
Yeah, it would.
Well, yeah, besides the chaos.
You and I would live in complete chaos, Nicole.
I couldn't. Chris and I are similar in the ways that matter, but in our differences are so perfect for each other. That's where opposites attract. We are very similar, but the opposite portion
Thank you for balancing me out.
If I dated me, I would kill me.
I love me a little too much, and I'm obsessed with myself, and I think that's why I have the problem. But Gina, it's funny you say that you and Nicole couldn't live together, because I feel like Nicole and I could live together forever. I would let Nicole do whatever Nicole wants to do. Wherever she want to go, we can go. Whatever she want to bake, we can bake. It would be Nicole's world.
No, I think Nicole and I could live together, but
Gina and I could not be in a relationship.
Or with someone like ourselves. Like if I was in a relationship with someone like totally like me, it would be chaos.
Yeah, same for me. Yeah, because I get on my own nerves sometimes. I'm like, Kirsten, be quiet and calm down and sit down, okay? Take a chill.
Slow down.
Yeah.
Right. So it's that balance of finding someone who you have similarities with, but enough difference that you're learning and you're not the same person, but not so many differences that everything is a struggle. So it's a good podcast. Everyone should go listen to it.
Okay, I'm going to check it out. Pastor
love it.
Cal is just so amazing. I always love to see him coming. Like, he's going to give you some great takeaways every time you see him.
And he loves and respects his wife so much, and not in a weird, like she's on a pedestal and can do no wrong way, but you can tell how much he values her and values how much she does for their relationship. And that's the kind of person I want to take advice from.
Amen.
So I'm really happy I did take advice from him.
Amen. Amen to that. Amen, Nicole. And I feel like he needs to start teaching classes, because some of these men are so classless. Like, they need to take classes from Pastor Cal, because that's what I desire. I desire a man in my life, like you said, Nicole. He's a great reflection of what men should look like and how he loves his wife and showers her. Like, I'm sure he would throw rose petals and kiss her feet if she asked him to, because that's the type of man he is. Like, he wants to love her. He's like old school love, and we need these new men out here to learn the old school love, honey. That's what I'm. We love you, Pastor Cal.
You should use his app, Kirsten. Maybe your dream man is on there.
I'm going to start using his app tonight. May the best man win. That's all I have to say.
Before we wrap up, it is February. It is Black History Month.
Woo-hoo.
And that is important to everyone. And I know, Kirsten, you wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of it. And I think that would be a nice message for us all to share.
Yes. Thank you so much, Nicole, for opening up this space for that. And I just appreciate all of my friends, who love me no matter the color, who support me no matter the color. Because at the end of the day, it's all about everyone getting along. Like, that was Martin Luther King's biggest dream, right? And so, like, that's why he's one of my favorite activists. And we don't have many leaders. We have some out there today, who fight for our rights, because it's still an ongoing thing that we struggle with in our race, which is so unfortunate. But when you have friends like Gina and Nicole who will stand up for you and who will come, be there for you and talk to you about different things. Like, Gina and I had several conversations offline about our thoughts in religion and politics and race and everything. And she has tons of friends who are African American. And same for you, Nicole. You have friends back at home that are African American. We don't always talk about our struggles, but y'all know how strong I am. And so it's like, sometimes I get tired of being strong. Sometimes I get tired of being knocked down. But Nicole, you text me all the time and say, give yourself grace. What do you tell me every day? Give yourself grace, even
Literally.
if it's not about race, even if it's like my own reflection. So I just want to say that I appreciate y'all, and thanks for taking the time out to recognize Black History Month, and let's continue the dream.
I love it.
We love you.
We should put that on a shirt and celebrate it.
Continue the dream, Martin Luther King's dream. Yes, it's important. It is important because we can all get along. It doesn't matter. We all bleed red. We all have plastic cars and green money. That's it. Mm-hmm. Yes, like, we all have the same thing. We're all human. So it's just get along. Like, the world would be such a better place if people spread kindness and not hate, So it's just unfortunate to see when people want to be ugly like that. That's not okay. So continue to spread the kindness.
Yeah, we should all act like love, friendship, all of that is blind.
Literally.
I remember when we were going through the casting process, Dr. Pepper asked me if I had a preference on race. I was like, he could be a green alien for all I care. If he's a good man, he's a good man. And she was like,
you better love me right.
I don't know what to do with that. Like, I legitimately stumped her, but I mean it. It's like, I don't care one way or another, because if your inside is bad, your outside could be whatever color. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, 100%. And love is love, no matter what race you are, no matter who you are. If you love someone, you just genuinely love them.
Yeah. The heart is the same.
Yep, 100%. Love y'all. Y'all just made my night.
This is a very safe space for us all to talk about anything we ever want to. And we hope our listeners out there appreciate hearing our different perspectives on things. We try to keep things a little lighthearted, but there are serious topics out there that we need to address. So I'm glad that we can all feel comfortable doing that with each other.
Me too. And it's good to have friends where you do feel comfortable, having those conversations in that safe space. And like, it's one of my friends, she hosts an event at Soho, and it's such a great space because it's like, okay, you can talk about like what you're going through during the week and how you're feeling. And y'all know for me to express my emotions and how I'm feeling or something that I want to talk about is very tough for me because vulnerability is one of my weaknesses. So I am so happy that I was able to come to you and Gina and say, hey, can we please highlight this? And you never know how many people are going to be like, oh my gosh, we love that y'all are able to support Kirsten, you know? So that's why I'm like, it is important to support one another, no matter what it is. When Gina having something at the salon, we go to the salon or we text her. When she's not feeling well, we say, we hope you feel better. It's all about loving each other and showing up however you can.
Yeah, I mean, that's just goes down to being a good friend and a good person. And that's why we've cultivated these friendships, because you want people you can count on to be there for you in whatever time you need. So
100%. Well, I do want to end this on a high note. I also brought some affirmations because what I wanted to do is recommend, if people are interested, I want you guys to start building in affirmations into your day. So you can build the affirmations in the morning, in the midday, or night, depending on your lifestyle and your schedule. So I have some affirmation cards that one of my friends gave me. I want you guys to repeat after me. The first card says, peace begins with me.
Peace begins
Peace begins with me.
My heart is full of love for who I am.
My heart
is full of love for who I am.
I feel like I'm reciting vows.
And then the next affirmation card says, I am deserving of fun, pleasure, and joy in my life.
I'm deserving of love, pleasure and
fun,
joy in my life.
That's right.
Fun, joy.
Fun, pleasure, joy.
Fun, pleasure, joy.
Yes, we all are deserving of that. And then the last affirmation says, I bring light with me wherever I go.
I bring light
with
me wherever I go.
Try to do it at the same time as you.
Yeah, and my sign off is with love and light, Kirsten Renee.
Did we say that?
No, that's just my sign off.
No, that's hers.
With love and light.
With love and light, Kirsten Renee. I say that all the time.
Because it's so great to end the
cute.
light. Yeah, with love and light. You're always carrying your light.
That.
Yes, those are my recommendations. So affirmation is what keeps me grounded. Gratitude as well. So gratitude is what helps me start my day, and I also pray every morning too, because you just never know what the day is going to bring sometimes. And sometimes I say the affirmations or prayer throughout the day so I can get through the days, because some days are tougher than others. But, you know, we live to see another day. It's okay. It's okay if you're not okay. And it's okay if things are going great.
We had a little, we meet as a salon on Wednesday mornings. And today I had them start with saying one thing that they're grateful for this week, and then one thing that they're working on personally for themselves this week, and then one thing that they're going to work on professionally this week.
Ooh,
I love
it.
Like such a good time. We're going to start doing it every week.
I love that you incorporated that, Gina. And it makes
like
it different of how the day flows afterwards.
At first they were like kind of nervous, and then you could tell they were like actually really, like, once a couple got vulnerable, they were like, I needed to get this out.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I love that.
Love that. It's a nice way for people to also see, wow, they can relate to what I'm working on and we can work on it together. So
yeah,
it's a way to open up those connections.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about a rebrand for the salon, incorporating the name Light.
Oh, love and light, Gina. Love and light around
That's
here.
been on the docket for
trademarked, Kirsten.
About a month.
We'll talk offline about that. You know, can't be giving away the ideas on the podcast, but we'll keep you guys posted. Well, thank you for those amazing affirmations, Kirsten. I know I'm going to have to ask you to send me them because I already forgot the last one, but I loved it. And thank you everyone for listening to another episode of D-List Diaries. If you like what you hear, reach out on Instagram or email us at dlistdiaries@gmail.com. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things, and tune in next week for another episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.